Now a musical telling the story of founder and longtime leader of Ladysmith Black Mambazo, Joseph Shabalala, is set to be staged later this year at the Johannesburg Theatre after a short run late last year. The production is about an intrepid African poet of a song whose vision to make music an instrument of peace turned him into a global icon and ambassador of South Africa's musical and cultural heritage. It was written by journalist and author Sandile Ngidi, who joins us now in studio. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very
Welcome
much.
to the program.
Thank you very much, Peter.
I can only imagine, as someone who's been working in telling his story, receiving the news must have been quite hard for you.
Extremely hard, especially we had hoped that the honor, would happen in his lifetime. It's beautiful when you're honoring a legend of Joseph Shabalala's caliber, to have that person there. We often make a mistake of celebrating people once they are gone. We're just honored and hopefully we're blessed in the sense that at the very beginning, when this idea of being mooted by the likes of Brahu Masagela, Oliswa and other people like James Ngabo, he was there. So he gave his vision, of what we had to do. And also we hope that his spirit is going to bless us as we go further. Of course, this is a mammoth task, and one is constantly feeling that, wow, what a responsibility there is in front of us. But this is one of our greatest storytellers, and one of the gifts that he has given us is, in fact, that critical role that we all must have to constantly tell our stories, particularly the stories of the downtrodden. Ubabu Mshengu did that with so much ease and with a great deal of commitment. And as your introduction says, when he discovered that his talent could also be a critical instrument of peace, he realized this was not just music. Ubabu Mazibuga, one of the eldest member of the group, always says that Ubabu Msheng would say to them, this is not a job, this is a calling. This is a commitment to a cause greater than all of us, and you must treat it with the dignity, with the respect that it deserves. And interestingly, today we're also honoring the freedom of Mandela, our Madiba. And as you might be aware, this was one of the most favorite groups of his. And soon after he was released, in fact, they had that first birthday party and he was there. The Mambazo was there, and Madiba committed to them that whenever I'm going, I'll be with you. And as you know, in Oslo, when they received the Nobel Peace Prize with President de Klerk, the group was there to honor the legacy of Madiba. So the idea of freedom is associated with the great Madiba, of course, all over the world. And the legacy of Joseph Shabalala and Mambazo is another way of expressing, and advancing that legacy of freedom. Because through the art, through the music, we discover ourselves and we realize that, in fact, we've got a common humanity and a very, very obstinate, sense of commitment to the things that we believe in. The stubbornness of the human spirit, no matter the odds, no matter how diabolical the system of colonialism and apartheid, was. The likes of Ubabu Joseph Shabalala told us that it is still possible to dream the dreams of freedom, but also to be yourselves as Africans. And in my view, he really belongs to to a great generation of African storytellers, and it brings us so much pride here in Africa and in the African diaspora. And as you said earlier on, in May this year, we'll be bringing the musical in earnest. Last year we only did a showcase, and this year it's coming to the Johannesburg Theatre here in Johannesburg. In May it's coming to Soweto, and then in September it's coming to the Johannesburg Theatre, where in fact, with the support of the city of Johannesburg, the dream to honor our artists, particularly when they are still alive, is being pursued with so much vigor, and we hope with this one and others, the legacy will continue.
All right. I mean, it's incredibly difficult to condense a lifetime of work into a shorter musical production, but I guess this is where the research comes into play. And I just wonder, when you were doing the research, what do you think then became the overall story of Joseph Shabalala that really, if you had to kind of condense it, what would you say?
This is a man that has told us that be resilient no matter where you come from. He comes from abject poverty, where in fact they lived on a white man's farm, where now and then one would have to come to actually skip school in order to work for a certain period as a way of paying back for the accommodation that people in those days got from white farmers. So this is a very resilient person. And also when you talk to beautiful people like Ubaba Mazibuko, you get a sense that respect is integral to the legacy of Mambazo, the legacy of Babu Joseph Shabalala. Mutual respect, but also more than anything, respect for self. The kind of assertion, that our parents taught us when we were growing up. Start respecting yourself before the world can give you something more or less closer to it in return. So there's a great deal of discipline in the band, in the group. And if you can imagine a group that has been together for 60 years, what does it take to do that? A great deal of it as well is the leadership that this great storyteller has left behind. So these are some of the key elements. But of course, one cannot take away this commitment to peace. And peace not just within the borders of this country, but peace beyond. So when you've got things like xenophobia, women abuse and so on, it is not in the in terms of the legacy that Joseph represented. When we honor him, we must also go back to those values and say it is wrong to be xenophobic, it is wrong to be homophobic, it is wrong to actually abuse our women and children. So this is a leader that has given us such a rich legacy that hopefully can help us become better human beings every day.
And I guess one of his strengths was this ability to teach, mentor, and pass on the baton.
It's amazing. It's amazing because when you look at the group that is, the members, they're actually, the children of Mambazo, so to speak. Because with the exception of Ubaba Mazibuko, all of them are young. And these are people who have learned so much from the old man himself, and they're very confident that the legacy continues, even if as we bid goodbye, to this legend of ours. So he has been a great teacher, and he continued, even in his retirement, he continued to mentor young groups outside the Ladysmith Black Mambazo stable, as it were, because he believed that the music belonged to the people. The music is the collective genius of our people in Africa and elsewhere.
All right, Mr. Ngidi, we look forward to watching this tribute to this great man, and perhaps prophetically it's come at the right time. Thanks so much indeed for sharing your thoughts with us and helping us remember him. Thank you,
sir.